She lied. She loved someone else while sleeping in my bed, wearing my ring, speaking my name like it meant nothing. Most men would have raged, screamed, left. I didn't. I planned. I built a system to observe her, to understand her, to dismantle her life piece by piece without ever raising my voice. She never saw it coming because I didn't need to shout. I just needed time. And when I was done, she'd know exactly what it feels like to be unmade by the man she thought would never fight back. This isn't a story about heartbreak. This is the story of how I took everything back, quietly, completely, and without mercy. My name is Jason Reeve, and this is my garden. There's a version of our life I keep behind glass. It's clean, ordered, framed in warm light. It smells like her perfume, bergamot and sandalwood. It tastes like her kiss on a Sunday morning, slow and lazy and without makeup. In this version, I believe her when she says, "There's no one else." I believed her for years. That's the trick of love. It convinces you to ignore math, pattern recognition, gut instinct. It makes you mute your own security system, even when it blares in the back of your mind like a silent alarm. My name is Jason Reeve. I'm 34 years old. I design high-end security systems for corporate and private estates. I'm good at what I do, the kind of good that makes people uncomfortable. Clients pay me not to watch, but to anticipate, which makes what happened with Lila feel like more than betrayal. It feels like failure. We met 7 years ago at a gallery opening in Soho. She was standing in front of an abstract sculpture that looked like a melted spine and said, "I bet the artist hates himself." I replied, "Then it's honest." She turned, laughed, and tilted her head. "You're the first man tonight who didn't say interesting use of space." She had that kind of smile, like she knew more than she should, like she saw through your words to your weak points. I should have walked away that night, but I didn't. We talked until the gallery closed. She stole a bottle of wine. I paid for our Uber home. 3 years later, we were married. The first few years were fire, travel, sex, ambition. We bought a house outside the city, sleek and quiet, full of smart tech I installed myself. Lila worked from home. She called herself a brand energy consultant. I didn't understand it, but her clients were rich and devout, so I kept my questions to myself. She was chaos in soft silk. I was order in clean lines. It worked, until it didn't. I can't tell you the exact moment I noticed the shift. It wasn't one big betrayal. It was dozens of microfractures. The way she flinched when I kissed her neck, how she always carried her phone to the bathroom, the quiet dinners, the overcompensating laughs. But even then, I didn't act. I chalked it up to routine, to stress, to the natural entropy of marriage. I didn't know I was sleeping beside a lie. It started with a calendar alert. We shared devices, phones, tablets, laps, mostly for convenience. Lila wasn't tech-savvy. I managed our schedules, files, passwords. One night, I was reviewing a security schematic on the shared tablet when I saw a pop-up. Google Calendar, dinner with E, 7:30, wear black. No panties. I blinked. It wasn't on our shared calendar, but her account was still synced from when I set up the tablet, E. I opened the event. It had a location, the address of a luxury apartment complex downtown, Kingston Place. My breath stayed even. My heart didn't. I didn't confront her, didn't rage, didn't cry. I just closed the tab. Then I picked up my phone and started checking metadata. Over the next 3 nights, I unraveled a tapestry she didn't know she'd sewn. Phone backups, message recoveries, location tracking. She'd left fingerprints everywhere. Texts from a deleted app, cloud photo syncs, auto-saved rideshare history. The puzzle clicked into place quickly. E was Elijah Ward. My ex-business partner, the man I co-founded Reeve Ward with, the one I bought out when he wanted to go solo, the one I trusted with passwords, bank access, and my fucking wedding speech. And now, he was fucking my wife. I didn't tell anyone, not even my therapist. I watched, I cataloged, I built what I always build, a system, not of security, of destruction. I had 3 choices. I could confront her, demand answers, fall to pieces in the kitchen, screaming like a bad movie husband. I could leave, walk away, let her rot in the mess she made, divorce her quietly, and start over with half the city whispering about the man who couldn't keep his wife. Or I could wait and build. I chose the third. Because betrayal was an architecture, and I was an architect. I wasn't going to throw bricks in anger. I was going to draw blueprints, lay the foundation, choose every wire, nail, and weak beam. And when I was ready, I'd collapse the whole thing with a whisper. The first thing I did was secure access. Lila was lazy with tech. Her passwords were predictable. Her phone backed up to a shared cloud I had helped her set up. Within an hour, I had full sync access to everything she touched digitally. Texts, emails, calendar events, notes. I started combing through it all, slow and methodical like diffusing a bomb. Some of it was mundane, recipes, affirmations, shopping lists. Some of it was darker, a hidden note folder labeled after. Inside, a stream of fantasies. Not dreams, not goals, escapes. What if we ran off to Spain? I'd never have to fake it again. He'll get over it. He always does. He. Me. The next step was Elijah. I hadn't spoken to him in 2 years, not really. When I bought him out, it was clean, civil on paper, awkward in private. He'd said, "We've outgrown each other." Apparently, not entirely. He lived in a penthouse in Kingston Place. I'd installed his building's original security framework back when we were still partners. That meant I still had admin-level access through a forgotten secondary protocol we never scrubbed. So I logged in and watched. Thursday nights, Sunday mornings, one Tuesday lunch break. Same woman, same lipstick. Her hair was always tied back when she visited him. She wore the same coat every time. I remember it because I bought it for her, a gift, for winter. I copied everything. Security footage, elevator logs, timestamps, audio where possible. I didn't watch the videos fully, not then. But I wanted the puzzle complete, not to guilt her, to bury her. I created a folder on an encrypted drive. Glass garden. Inside it, I started building an archive. Videos of her entering and exiting Elijah's building, synced messages from her phone, dirty jokes, nudes, voice memos, screenshots of calendar invites, emails titled, "When can I see you again?" A voice memo where she said, "Jason's like a houseplant. You forget to water him and he still just sits there." I paused there. That one hurt. But I saved it. Next was financial control. Lila didn't know how our money worked. She had a card. She swiped it. That was the extent of her involvement. She didn't know the accounts were structured in my name. She didn't know the house had been purchased pre-marriage and remained a sole asset. She didn't know that the car was leased through my company and her business credit card was a branch off my primary. So I began to prepare the extraction. I opened a new business, Quiet, in Nevada, Shell LLC. I transferred holdings there, pulled liquidity from our shared savings account slowly, just enough that she wouldn't notice. I contacted an accountant I trusted and told him I was preparing for a divorce. He asked, "Does she know yet?" "No," I said, "and she won't. Not until it's already done." Emotionally, I had to disconnect. I stopped asking about her day, stopped making eye contact longer than needed. I started sleeping on the edge of the bed, facing away. I let the silence become a third party in the room. She noticed. Of course she did. She started making an effort, touching my hand when she spoke, laughing too loudly at my dry jokes. Cooking. She hadn't cooked in years. One night she asked, "Are we okay?" I looked up from my laptop. "Of course," I said, and smiled. She relaxed, even kissed my cheek. I returned to my spreadsheet. The timeline was 6 weeks. That's how long I gave myself. 6 weeks to build the framework. Week 1, surveillance. Week 2, financial maneuvering. Week 3, legal groundwork. Week 4, psychological erosion. Week 5, media construction. Week 6, detonation. By the end of it, there would be nothing left. Not a marriage, not a business, not a reputation, just ruins. Surveillance is an art form. The goal isn't just to observe, it's to make the subject reveal who they really are when they think no one's watching. Real betrayal doesn't happen under pressure. It happens in comfort. Lila was getting comfortable. By the end of week 2, I had her fully mapped. I knew her schedule better than she did. I installed a micro beacon in her key fob, one I designed myself, no larger than a grain of rice. It synced with a passive tracking app I built that didn't rely on GPS, pure signal triangulation, completely undetectable. Her usual paths, home gym, Whole Foods, a few clients in uptown studios. But twice a week she made detours. Elijah's building, sometimes just 20 minutes, other times 3 hours. On Thursdays, she stayed overnight. Each visit I watched in real time. My hotel suite, booked under a fake name, overlooked Kingston Place's west side. With a telephoto lens, I could see her silhouette through the penthouse windows. I didn't record those visuals. I didn't need to. But I did record the security footage, and I cataloged it, every entrance, every exit, what she wore, how she smiled. There was a clip where she danced barefoot in his living room, wearing my hoodie, drinking red wine from the glass I bought her in Venice. She twirled like she was free. She didn't know I was building her cage. I copied her voice, not figuratively, literally. From her voicemails and calls, I used AI-assisted software to replicate her vocal patterns. With enough samples, I generated a text-to-voice program using her tone, pitch, inflections. Why? Because I was going to send Elijah messages in her voice, to cause fractures, to trigger paranoia, to test his loyalty. The first one was simple: I think he knows. I used a burner number, scrambled the data route, and had it leave a voice message while she was with me, asleep on the couch. The next morning, she had a missed call from him, no voicemail. She ignored it. Later that day, I saw him pacing his balcony, phone in hand, nervously chain-smoking. I was already inside his head. Meanwhile, I gave Lila rope. I acted more distracted, more distant, buried myself in work, missed meals, answered her questions with half nods. She began to grow confident again. The guilt faded. She wore bolder lipstick, started humming around the house, talked about us taking a trip. I told her I had to fly to Chicago. Instead, I rented a car, drove 2 hours out, booked a secluded cabin, spent the weekend documenting everything. I printed photos, bound screenshots into folders, built physical copies of digital sins, because when I burn someone down, I don't use just one match. I build a pyre. In week 4, I activated the next stage. I slipped a second tracker into her purse, then one in her favorite pair of heels. Red sold. A gift from me. She carried betrayal with her everywhere now, and I tracked every step. At the same time, I hacked Elijah's cloud. Not just his email, his backups, voice memos, a therapy journal app he used with automatic dictation. His last entry read, "She says she's leaving him. I don't know if I want her full time. It's more fun in stolen hours." I printed that too. That week, I invited her out. A nice restaurant, Italian, candlelit. She dressed up, wore the necklace I gave her on our first anniversary. Over wine, she smiled and said, "You've been distant lately." I raised an eyebrow. "Work's been intense." She reached across the table, touched my hand. "I miss you." I smiled. "I'm right here." She looked relieved, almost giddy, like she believed she still had me. I asked if she wanted to go away next month, just us, somewhere private. She said yes without hesitation. She didn't realize she'd just agreed to the location of her final unmasking. The cabin sat at the edge of a frozen lake, hidden among the pine trees like a secret the forest kept for itself. It was silent out here. No Wi-Fi, no cell reception, no neighbors for miles. Perfect. Lila thought it was a retreat, a romantic getaway, a chance to realign, as she put it, her fingers tracing the sleeve of my sweater as we unpacked the car. "I love this," she said, stepping into the lodge. "It's like we're the only people in the world." I smiled. Exactly. The cabin had 2 floors. Upstairs, bedroom, bath, balcony. Downstairs, kitchen, fireplace, living space. I'd brought everything we needed: supplies, wine, her favorite snacks. And one thing we didn't: a hidden server in my duffel bag. Compact. Black. Already connected to a power bank. It was linked to the cabin's old generator control panel, which I had modified when I rented it 2 months ago under an alias. When I flipped the master switch, it activated the smart mirror in the bedroom wall. To Lila, it looked like a decorative piece. To me, it was a screen. By Saturday morning, she was in full bliss mode. She wore thick socks and one of my flannel shirts, made pancakes badly, and asked if we could stay longer than planned. I said we could discuss it. After lunch, I asked if she wanted to go for a walk. She declined, said she was tired, took a glass of wine upstairs, and laid on the bed with a book. I stepped outside. From my car, I activated the server. The screen in the bedroom lit up, silent, dark, but recording. Then I used the second device, my gift, a sleek black box I'd wrapped in soft felt and placed in my luggage. I told her it was for later. An anniversary surprise. While she dozed, I opened it in the living room. Inside, a hard drive, every photo, every message, every video, every voice recording. The entire glass garden. That evening I made dinner. Lamb chops, roasted garlic. Her favorite. We talked about travel, the future, She told me she was thinking about cutting ties with toxic people. I raised an eyebrow. Like who? She laughed. No one important. I asked if she was happy. She smiled. Happier than I've been in a long time. That made two of us. That night, we made love. It was the first time in weeks. She was passionate, desperate, trying to stake her claim. I kissed her like it mattered. I whispered promises I never planned to keep. She fell asleep wrapped around me, warm and trusting. At 3 a.m., I slipped out of bed. I opened the screen. I played the files. The smart mirror lit the room in cold blue light. Silent but damning. Lila stirred at 3:12. Opened her eyes. The first thing she saw was her own face, laughing in another man's bed. She screamed. She scrambled off the mattress like she'd touched fire, tangled in sheets, breath sharp and wild. Jason. Jason. What? I didn't move. I let the next file play. Her voice. Jason's like a houseplant. You forget to water him and he still just sits there. She covered her mouth. The next clip, Elijah panting, saying her name, then her moaning his. She turned to me, eyes full of panic. This isn't, I can explain. I stood. You already did. I handed her the hard drive. She took it like it was poison. I don't, Jason. I didn't mean to. You meant every second of it, I said. You just never thought you'd be caught. She dropped to her knees, begging, crying, pulling at my arm, pleading for forgiveness, for another chance, for mercy. I gave her none. Pack your things. Her voice broke. What are you going to do to me? I knelt beside her, whispered, nothing more than you already did to yourself. I left the cabin an hour later. She stayed. I'd arranged for a private driver to collect her in the morning, someone who wouldn't ask questions. By the time she returned to the city, her world would be gone. The files were already scheduled to send to Elijah's fiancée, to her family, to her clients, to the press, all time-stamped, all watermarked, all undeniably hers. The detonation began at 8 a.m. on a Monday. The first wave of emails hit inboxes like silent missiles. To her clients, a mass BCC with a polite subject line, urgent, regarding recent conduct of consultant Leela Reeve. Inside, links to recordings, screenshots, and calendar data outlining unprofessional behavior, tax fraud indicators, and personal misconduct with a married business figure. A few of them opened it within minutes. One replied, unsubscribing from your poison, don't contact me again. The second wave went to family, her mother, her sister, her aunt who always spoke about moral values between cocktails. A curated drop of the affair, tasteful but damning. By 8:15, Lila's phone was lighting up, but not with business, not with praise, not with bookings, just silence. Or worse, blocked calls, cold texts. One message from her mother, I don't even recognize who you are. Elijah's fall came at 8:30. His fiancée Marin opened the package I mailed, a custom flash drive shaped like a ring box. Inside, a single folder labeled Truth, footage, screenshots, voice clips. The last was a selfie video Lila sent Elijah, in his bed, wearing Marin's robe. You'd better marry me if I leave him. I'm not going through this just to be your little secret. By 9 a.m., Marin posted a photo of the flash drive on Instagram. Captioned, he said she was just a friend, she was just a parasite. Over 5,000 likes before noon. Elijah's inbox filled with hate. A few male friends tried to defend him. Bad move. Within hours, he was trending. Karma creep. Someone leaked the footage. Not me. Probably Marin, or one of Lila's bitter ex-clients. The video made it to TikTok, Twitter, Reddit, the meme pages. By 4 p.m., Lila's name was being dissected in a 20-minute YouTube commentary video titled Fake Healer, Real Homewrecker. She called me 6 times that day. I answered none. Her last voicemail was hoarse, crying. Jason, you've ruined me. Why are you doing this? Why didn't you just leave? Because I didn't want escape. I wanted evidence. I didn't just want to be free. I wanted to make sure she was never free from the truth. By Tuesday, her business website was offline. Reviews tanked. Former clients turned on her, one even posting a long blog about being scammed into spiritual dependency and financial blackmail. Someone found her tax records. Another exposed her plagiarized content from 3 separate coaching sites. I watched the collapse in real time. Calm, precise, the way you might watch a building implode, not with joy, but with deep satisfaction. Wednesday night, she showed up at the house. I knew she would. I saw her through the security feed, standing in the rain again. Soaked, pale, not screaming this time, just waiting. She buzzed, I answered. Jason, her voice cracked. Please, I don't have anywhere to go. Silence. I know I messed up. I know, but we can fix this. We can make it right. More silence. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You can have everything. Just let me in. I let her speak, and then I said, you had everything. Now you have the consequences. I disconnected. The next day, her social accounts were gone. Someone posted a screenshot of her at a gas station, looking frail, stunned. Rumors spread she was staying with a cousin in a studio apartment downtown. Others said she checked into a rehab facility for mental exhaustion. I didn't care. The truth wasn't mine to manage anymore. It belonged to everyone now. I didn't need revenge headlines. I didn't want a trophy. Just peace. And peace finally felt real. Elijah Ward vanished from the internet by the end of the week. His company scrubbed his name from their leadership board. His fiancée deactivated all accounts. The joint engagement registry went offline with a simple message. This wedding has been canceled. Please direct nations elsewhere. Somewhere between the memes, the outrage, and the TikToks, Elijah stopped existing in real time. But I knew where he was. He'd checked into an Airbnb on the edge of the city. A minimalist box with a mattress on the floor and a single lamp. I only knew because I had access to his device history. He was still signed into the same shared Google Sheet we used years ago, a file titled Reeve Exit Plan. He reopened it 2 days after the scandal broke. Inside, he'd written one new line. He was always the smart one. I thought I'd feel triumphant, but it was quieter than that. Not joy, not pity, just closure. He'd always acted like I was the boring one. The planner, the backup, the one who made things run but never lit the room on fire. He lit the fire this time, and I turned it into a furnace. Lila, meanwhile, was unraveling publicly. An anonymous Medium post surfaced from an ex-client, detailed, methodical, cold. A second followed, then a third, clients alleging financial manipulation, others talking about her emotional exploitation disguised as empowerment. I didn't write them, but I might have nudged them into the right inboxes. Call it encouragement. One night, I revisited the glass garden, not to dwell, just to confirm everything was done. I scrubbed the originals, wiped backups, encrypted the shell drive, and destroyed the temporary mirror files. My tracks were covered 6 ways from Sunday. I left one folder labeled Ghosts. Inside, a single image, Lila, asleep on my chest, years ago. Her face soft, unaware. It was a reminder, not of love, but of how real something can feel, right up until it devours you. I started walking more. No phone, no headphones, just the sound of leaves and street grit under my boots. I watched people laugh in cafes, kiss at crosswalks, argue at gas stations. I didn't feel jealous. I didn't feel bitter. I felt free. Not because I'd won, but because I'd let go of the part of me that needed to prove anything to her. In the weeks that followed, I got a few emails. From Elijah, you planned this, didn't you? I didn't reply. From an unknown burner, I hope you know you ruined her. I flagged it, deleted. From Lila, no subject. Just a blank email, no text, no attachments, just silence. I didn't open it, didn't need to. Her silence said enough. I archived everything, changed my number, hired a lawyer to finalize divorce quietly. No press, no drama, no negotiations, just a clean break. She didn't contest. The last paper I signed was the dissolution of our marriage license. Date of finalization, exactly 1 year from the night I first found her calendar entry. Symmetry. Spring came late that year. It crept into the world like it wasn't sure it was welcome, hesitant and shy, brushing trees with green only to pull back when the wind hissed. But eventually, it arrived, and with it, so did I. I'd moved into a smaller place, neutral colors, no tech I didn't personally build or vet, no shared accounts, no surprises. For the first time in years, I didn't wake up waiting for something to collapse. I went to work, I read, I learned to cook something that wasn't heat and serve. I started running, not from anything, just forward. A few people at the office noticed. You seem lighter, one said. I just smiled. I started dating again, carefully, slowly. Nothing serious. One woman was a graphic designer. Funny, sharp. She reminded me of who I used to be before the paranoia. Another was quiet, grounded, the kind of person who didn't rush to fill silence. I didn't tell them about Lila, not at first. Not until trust had been built. And when I did, I kept it simple. She hurt me. I made sure it never happened again. That was all they needed. Then one morning in late April, I found something unexpected in my mailbox. A package. No return address. Just my name, Jason Reeve, typed in neat black font. Inside, a journal, leather-bound, heavy. I knew it before I opened it. Lila's handwriting was unmistakable. It wasn't an apology. It was confessional. Pages and pages of her unraveling. Thoughts she hadn't said aloud, fears, anger, regret, dreams she never shared. She spoke of Elijah like a drug, of herself like a mirror cracked down the middle. She didn't blame me, didn't beg, didn't justify. She just documented. I never stopped loving you. I just started loving myself more. And I think I got the math wrong. I know you hate me, but I hope a part of you sees that I hated me too. You were right. You always were. That's why I couldn't stay. I sat on the floor with the book open in my lap, and for the first time in months, I felt something unexpected. Not forgiveness, not longing, just peace. The kind that comes not from burning bridges, but from realizing you don't need to cross them anymore. I didn't reach out. I didn't respond. I placed the journal in a drawer, sealed it, and left it there. Not out of fear, but respect. Her truth had a place now. It just didn't belong in mine. Outside, the trees bloomed, slow, quiet, beautiful, and in that quiet, something new finally began to grow. It happened on a Tuesday. I was walking home from the market, just the usual bread, coffee, something green. The sky was clean, almost pastel. A breeze moved through the trees like breath through a sleeping chest. And then I saw him, Elijah, standing across the street, hair longer, beard rough, eyes hollow but alert. He didn't move, just watched. Our eyes met for less than a second, then he turned and walked away. I didn't chase him, didn't need to. I knew what that look was. Not vengeance, not apology, recognition. He'd seen the edge, lived at the bottom, and whatever remained of him knew that I hadn't just exposed him. I'd ended the version of him that could lie to himself. He'd never get that part back. And I didn't envy him. That night, I checked my cameras. Nothing. My sensors. Clean. Still, I changed every password, rechecked the logs, ran a scan for surveillance bugs, even swept for GPS trackers just in case he'd grown creative. Paranoia doesn't die easy, even when you're the one who built it. 2 days later, a package arrived. No note, no label, just a USB drive. Inside, one video file, time-stamped 2 weeks earlier, a shaky phone cam. Elijah sitting in a motel room, speaking into the lens. I know you'll see this eventually, Jason, and I won't say sorry. Not because I'm not, but because it doesn't change a damn thing. You were always 10 moves ahead. I used to think it made you cold. Now I see it kept you safe. She still dreams about you. Said your name once while she was crying in her sleep. I'm leaving. Don't worry. You'll never see me again. I just wanted to say, I hope she haunts you a little, the good version of her, the one you thought she was. He killed the feed. The file ended. Fra. I stared at the screen for a long time. Not because it hurt, but because I felt nothing. I deleted the file, crushed the drive with pliers, burned what was left. That night, I stood in my backyard. The stars were faint, city pollution dimming them out, but I found one. One was enough. I whispered her name, not out of longing, out of finality. And when I exhaled, it felt like the first time I'd ever really breathed. The garden was mine now, and this time nothing would grow in it unless I planted it myself. They say healing is a spiral, not a straight line. That sometimes after months of peace, one glimpse, one sound, one message can undo everything you've built. I didn't believe that until she showed up again. It was at a gallery downtown, a friend of a friend's event. I went out of obligation, mostly, to remind myself I was still part of the world. The theme was rebirth. Of course it was. I was sipping a glass of dry wine, studying a sculpture made of twisted glass and burnt copper. The kind of piece that demands you look at it and feel things you can't explain. When I heard her voice. Jason. I turned slowly. She hadn't changed much. Lila still had that air of softness, but her edges were sharper now, less curated. Hair pulled back, darker at the roots. No jewelry, minimal makeup. Her eyes, though. Her eyes looked like she hadn't slept in months. We stared at each other for a long beat. I didn't know you'd be here, she said. I nodded. Neither did I. She looked at the sculpture. Seems fitting. It does. She breathed in like she wanted to say something else. I didn't help her. I'm not here to disrupt anything, she said finally. I just wanted to say thank you. That caught me off guard. For what? For stopping me. For showing me what I'd become. I studied her face. There wasn't a trace of manipulation, just rawness. Honesty, the kind that comes when someone has nothing left to lose. I'm not asking for anything, she added quickly. Not forgiveness, not closure. Just, I needed you to know that I've changed, or I'm trying to. Silence stretched between us like thread pulled taut. You're not the only one who had to rebuild from the ashes. I didn't say much after that. We didn't exchange contact info, didn't promise anything. We just stood there, two ghosts in new clothes. Then I left. I walked home through the city with the lights smeared in puddles. Her voice echoed in my head, not sharp, not painful, just real. That night, I stood in front of my mirror, looked at myself, not the man who'd been cheated on, not the planner, the strategist, the destroyer, just Jason. And for the first time, I didn't see the reflection of what she broke. I saw the man who survived it, and I smiled. I never expected peace to feel so fragile, not because it was incomplete, but because I knew what it took to earn it, what it cost to build a life that felt still and true again. Some people chase revenge, others live inside it. I had done both, and now, standing in front of the last door I'd left unopened, I was ready to close it. It was a letter, handwritten, stamped 3 weeks earlier, no return address, the ink slightly smudged as if someone had hesitated while writing it. It sat on my desk for days before I opened it. Inside, Jason, this is the last thing I'll ever ask of you. There's a charity gala next month. I was invited and I've declined, but they still have our names linked as a couple from past contributions. If you don't respond, they'll assume you're attending. I'm not trying to make a scene. I just want to avoid one. Please let them know you're not coming, or do come if you want. I won't be there, but either way, it would close something quietly. Thank you for everything and for nothing. Lila. No dramatics, no appeals, just a door offered, not pushed. The gala was held at the Belmont Hotel. Old money, Art Deco staircase, floor-length windows, the kind of place where people measured power by how little they looked impressed. I went. Not for her, for me. I wanted to walk into the last place where we had been something and leave it as no one. Inside, it was noise and light and perfume. Faces I half remembered. Champagne flutes, strings of conversation buzzing like bees in heat. And then silence. Not literal, just internal. Because I saw her, across the room. She said she wouldn't come, and maybe she hadn't planned to. But she was there, alone, in black. Just like that calendar entry so long ago. Her eyes met mine. We didn't move. The world kept spinning. 10 minutes passed before she approached. Neither of us said hello. She looked at me, calm, centered. You came, she said. So did you. I didn't lie, she added. I told them I wasn't coming. I nodded. She looked around. Feels like a dream, doesn't it? Or the end of one. She hesitated, then held something out. A small key. I didn't take it. It's the storage unit, she said. The last of our things. I paid the final month. After that, it's theirs. I still didn't take it. Then let it be theirs, I said. Her lips parted slightly. Not in surprise. In understanding. She nodded once and then she walked away. I left an hour later. Didn't say goodbye to anyone. Didn't drink. Didn't linger. I stood outside, beneath a street lamp, breathing in night air that smelled like summer, and I felt something shift. Not pain, not grief, not victory. Just stillness. The garden was closed, the gate locked, and I, finally, was gone from it. It's strange how quiet survival can be. Not cinematic, not full of rain and speeches and sweeping music, just quiet. You wake up one morning and realize it's been months since you said her name out loud. You walk past a place that used to hurt and feel nothing. You see your reflection and don't wince. That's how healing really happens. Not as a moment, as a disappearance. I moved again. Smaller town, bigger skies, less noise. I started a new consultancy, discreet, efficient, clean. I worked with people who didn't know my past, who didn't ask, who paid well and respected boundaries. I planted a garden in the back. Real flowers, orchids, fragile, delicate, the kind that take patience and discipline. They bloom now like a quiet reward. Sometimes, In the still of evening, I sit on my porch and read. Sometimes I write. Once, I wrote a single sentence on a piece of paper and buried it beneath the orchid bed. Let what died stay dead. I never heard from her again. Not really. A mutual acquaintance once said she was living somewhere near the coast, running a studio, alone. They said she was different. Maybe. But that story's no longer mine to follow. People ask if I regret it, the depth of my revenge, the strategy, the cruelty. My answer is always the same. No. Because I didn't act out of rage. I acted to survive, to reclaim something that betrayal tried to steal. Myself. And I got him back. This is not a story of heartbreak. This is not a story of justice. This is not a warning. This is a garden built on ashes, blooming with thorns. And somewhere beneath it, buried deep, is a man who learned never to let anyone else hold the match again. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and let's hear what you'd have done in this situation. Until next time, take care.